be agreed to, and I give the call to the member for McPherson.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I represent an electorate that has quite a broad tradie population, and they contribute immensely to our community on the Gold Coast. We represent an area that is it's experiencing one of the fastest periods of growth across the country, and we see it daily. And people who are in the trade sector are the ones who enable us to grow and to develop, and that is something that must go it's something that's noteworthy. What I will say, though, Deputy Speaker, is I will mention a figure: $1.5 billion. $1.5 billion is no small amount of money, but that is the amount that the current Albanese government has spent on fee-free TAFE. Now, ordinarily, I'd say we encourage that sort of investment. We encourage investment in the next generation of people who are going to build our homes, especially in the midst of what is quite a concerning housing crisis across our country. But, Deputy Speaker, the point of me speaking on this motion today is because we're seeing a situation where, despite that investment of $1.5 billion, the skills shortage has only worsened. And it's right in that instance for, instead of the government coming in here and moving a motion commending their investment, for them to come here and say, well, is it actually working? Is it an effective use of taxpayer funds? And if not, how can we make it better? And I think it does call for a moment of self-reflection for those on the other side of this place. Deputy Speaker, we've seen apprenticeship completion rates unacceptably low. Over the 4 years of completion rates, we've seen them go down from 50% to 47.9%. And this is at a point where more than 1 in 3 occupations, about 36%, are assessed as being in national shortage. I compare that to when, and I know that those opposite have made comparisons to when the Coalition was in office. Well, if we look at the comparison, when we left office in June of 2022, there were 426,830 apprentices and trainees in training across the country. But today, that number has plummeted to just 282,430 as of December last year. And this means we're seeing fewer skills at a time when this government is putting us through a housing crisis. We're also seeing, and we've seen this in the last budget, overall funding for VET activities has dropped since we're in government. And that's been driven overwhelmingly by the government slashing employer incentives from just over $4 billion to $1.54 billion. And these are the incentives to encourage employers to take on those apprentices. Deputy Speaker, in my electorate I have the industry school in Robina. Now, the industry school is somewhere I've had the privilege of visiting multiple times, and we're spending time when I go with those younger generations of tradies, the people who will be building our homes in the future. And I'm very proud of that school because they're actually translating education into outcomes. The last I checked, they had about 96% of people walking straight into a job upon graduation. And that's great for our community, it's great for our country, and it's great for them. But what we're seeing with fee-free TAFE more broadly is that they're not adopting a similar model, and we're not going down that path of employment. I think the contribution from the member for Grey earlier was noteworthy, because he mentioned that there's only one area that's actually we're seeing the growth, and that is in public administration. Now, that's not the area that we need to see the growth right now, and it's a testament to the government's priorities that that is, in fact, the reality of what's happening. So that $1.5 billion that's being spent by the government could be used more effectively, and it's taxpayer funds that should be used more effectively. We need to have a system that ensures that the skills that are required in this country are supported through our education system. And not just through our education system, but also through our broader policy base. And I note that since the government came to office, only 2.5% of our migration intake and net overseas migration are also in the construction sector. So on all accounts, Deputy Speaker, when it comes to making sure we have the skills needed to face the next generation of Australia. The government's failing, and I'm surprised that they're moving this way.